Going live. You're live. I'm live. Live at 5. Let's button this button. Okay, I was going to do this video tomorrow because I was waiting for, another kilt, but after receiving, my hair doesn't want to sit comfortably into this hat. After receiving this kilt today, figure out which one is which. The sizing issues and the other things that we're going to discuss, I had to cancel that order and reorder it in a different size, and so it's supposed to come on Thursday, so I won't be able to finish my list today, but I ranked most of them. We'll get into that. So today's new offering, which I called an unboxing in the description, but I already went to try it on and basically it won't fit. So the bag, I'll show the bag, is this. I already took the kilt out of the bag. I already took the kilt out of the packaging. It's got little Scottish thistles and says some information. But now on the website, on Amazon, this kilt is listed as fits 42 to 44, but when you get the bag and you see it says 42, so obviously if you need a 44 or bigger, this is not going to fit you. And so a 46, a 44, 46 would fit me? Probably not. I'd probably need a 46 because I based my sizing when I ordered this on how UT kilts fit, and their kilts run big, which I've said in previous videos. I don't know if they run, how to measure it and how to make it. Well, I know is in a UT kilts, if I buy a 43, it fits, but this is definitely too small. The next thing, so that's if you're going to buy this garment. I'll tell you why you shouldn't next. I don't know if this is a different model than they offer for some. They had a listing. I thought they had 2 listings. I had ordered 3 kilts under the wedding kilt listing, and I got this, which implies to me not a wedding kilt, but a sport kilt. So I don't know. And I've never seen this before on a budget kilt or otherwise, but it has a label stitched on it. And this camera is backwards, so it's a real fun challenge to try and get these things to show correctly. But you can see it says 42 on it. And this, now obviously anybody would remove this nonsense from the waistband before wearing it. And the waistband has some weird cardboardy feeling thing going on, which I've never encountered really before either. And then here's a tag that boldly proclaims acrylic. It's not the worst acrylic fabric, but it is lighter than the UT Kilts fabric. So again, we'll get into that in a minute when we do the rankings. I'm just going to talk about this kilt specifically first, and then we'll do the comparison. Care instructions: machine wash, don't bleach, dry, flat, low iron, made in Pakistan. Okay, so that's pretty basic, self-explanatory. On the Amazon site, again, under wedding kilts, this was the St. Patrick pattern. And there was half a dozen or 10 or so available. In the fabric, it says type satin, which refers to the lining, not the actual acrylic. So you can see there's like a lining, a little half circle. Not the most extravagant lining I've ever seen, but it's there. I've seen similar to this before with the half circle. Usually it's more of a rectangle. Closure button, which of course is completely inaccurate because it has 3 buckles. So why they put button when there's not a button anywhere near this thing, I don't know. Welcome to Pakistan. Rise high. Okay, that's correct. It's meant to be worn above the waist, not down where you wear your pants or trousers or jeans. Pattern plaid. Yes, definitely a plaid, definitely a tartan. country of origin, Pakistan, like it says on the thing. 3 straps, 24-inch length, which is a generic length that will suit most average height men. You would not hem this kilt if you didn't need to, because it has a fused. It's kind of hard to show off because it has a basting stitch here at the bottom of the thing. That, see how it's all bunched together like that? That's for shipping. You're supposed to take that out. Oh, here's another tag that's attached to the base. Try your size and remove before use. Okay, whatever that means. In the website, it said measure twice, buy once. Again, how I'm supposed to measure twice and then read your mind as to what size to buy once, I don't know, because obviously I'm returning this tomorrow, and that's that. So again, I would say the sizing is pretty accurate if you know what size you're ordering. If you know your correct size already, great. Otherwise, you're guessing game. I would suggest ordering 2 sizes and return the odd one since it's Amazon. Not the end of the world. Anyway, okay, so I don't have anything else useful written there for this video purpose. So yeah, so we've got your typical 2, there should be 2, yeah, 2 loops for your, people call them belt loops. It's technically sporran loops. They're a little bit spaced farther apart than maybe certain kilt companies would do. The buckles. This buckle is more or less right over the buttonhole, but not entirely, which again, some people would say that's a little too close because you're going to pull your straps out or whatever, but the buttonhole is reinforced. The fabric, well, I guess I'll get into the fabric comparisons since there's no other way to talk. The straps, your generic thin leather, not the worst I've felt, not too thick, but pliable. That's not, yeah, that's about standard. You got the fringe going down the outer apron, kind of a narrow seam to add that fringe on there. Pretty big waistband seam. I've never really seen it quite like this before, with the top band is kind of stitched over the front from this huge placard or what a placket. However you, and as you can see, the tartan does not line up. It's diagonal in spots. And that's on the outer apron. The inner apron, yeah, not matching up at all, but less diagonal. That's pretty, so that's pretty horrible to see that on the front of your apron. That is absolutely ghastly. And you can see the stitch where the placket kind of meets, where that yellow line indents in. So you have a really unattractive front apron. You don't have, I guess if I was the right, yeah, I would say it is not centered on the yellow correctly. I would say it's more centered closer to here-ish. Not really centered on a yellow stripe. Not really centered on that kind of plaid void deal. And then again, the fabric weight being similar to other acrylics. This is an AAR, as I said. Not as nice as some of the acrylics that come from Scottish Kilt Company. Definitely not as thick as the wool, which is, they call it worsted wool, but, or a woolen wool, but I'm pretty sure it's a wool acrylic blend from the UT Kilts. Definitely thicker and a little better than most of the stuff that I've gotten from American Highlander and Tartanista. And we'll get into the rankings later, but to show kind of the fabric quality, it's slightly better, about the same thickness, slightly different texture. So it might pill and rub a little bit less, get fuzzy slower than, you know, some of the really, like I have this one. I don't know what company this was, and a 44 did fit me at the time and should still fit me now. So I can't include this in the comparison, but this was the pretty standard feel of the acrylic before some of the softer and some of the rougher ones started coming my way. So like I said, this one is a little bit, it's not super soft, it's not super rough, but it's not as coarse as this. Oops. Not as coarse as this, but this one, I would say, more durable, less likely to snag on things. So that being the distinction, whereas this is a pretty light weave, not the lightest I've had. But I would say definitely going to pill, definitely going to snag. This one, as I discussed before, the dye job is completely pale compared to usually you see a darker brown. So again, we'll get into that. So yeah, the big insult here though is literally only getting 13 pleats, and pretty wide pleats at that. So who would wear this to a wedding ever? Not me, never, no. As if the light thin, when the guy handed me the package at the door, I knew, I could just tell by the feeling of the weight of the bag that I was going to be, you know, disappointed, because I knew it wasn't going to be this fabric exactly, and definitely not, again, this fabric, the UT kilts. But I didn't know there was going to be that little cloth included also. Like, oh, okay, we're saving money left and right by not giving you very many pleats, but it still cost more, I think a couple dollars, than the Kilt Emporium ones I just reviewed recently, where again, this one I had ordered a 44, and it's a little bit small, but the other two that I ordered in 44 I can actually wear. This one, so for 10 bucks I can get these buckles moved and it'll fit fine, and it's just a cheap kilt. But again, not entirely true to size, but closer to true to size. Like I said, this one, what size is this one? Not exactly rocket science here, but okay, so this one says 42, and so if I take this one and put them, you know, just apron to apron, let's see what we get. This one a lot more weight, a lot more pleats, a slightly different weave of the fabric, as I said, but not. Yeah, so when I pull it as tight as I can go, we're getting almost the same end to end from the American Highlander to the new one, the Allsafe. So, like I said, the sizing itself is fairly accurate. It's just the sizing on the website is confusing, because you wouldn't know. Oh, you would order this thinking it will fit up to a 44, and it really won't. It's really going to be too small. If you are a 44, you're going to need the 44 to the 46, and if you're a 46, you're going to need the 46 to a 48, which again allows, if you get bigger, you're more likely to get bigger than smaller with time. So safe bet. But again, why would you buy this when it has cheap fabric and almost no pleats? Because again, this overpriced thing that cost way more than it was worth, it still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20, like 23 or 25 pleats, somewhere in there. This one from Scottish Kilts. Now this kilt costs like 60 bucks, and it has a slightly better fabric. You can see it has a different lining, slightly different lining. Same 3 buckles, same belt loops. I did video about this recently. About 20 pleats. So not a ton of pleats, but it doesn't look terrible across the back. I still wouldn't wear it to a wedding, but it looks like a real kilt for festival purposes and pub purposes and whatnot. You can see where they've done some actual work on the buttonhole with the lining involved, as opposed to what we were just looking at with this weird placket deal going on here, and the buttonhole made out of tartan instead of whatever else. So yeah, a little bit more work involved for, you know, almost twice the price, but a lot more close to a regular kilt. The reason I'm trash talking this one so much is because this one was, I think, over $100 back several years ago. They might have lowered their price since then. They might have improved their material since then. I don't know. Same with Tartanista. I don't have any Tartanista kilts here anymore. And again, this fabric being from the same company as this, but it is a different fabric. This fabric I like better than this. So I might replace kilts from them more regularly than some of these other companies or any of these other companies. Because again, yeah, this kilt, the Emporium kilt, is it's more coarse. It's about the same thickness, a little more coarse of fabric, might still pill plenty good, might still snag, but less soft. I would say this is more likely to snag. I would say this one is slightly better, but, and the sizing slightly more accurate. But again, I would still caution going up a size rather than playing roulette. Hard to say, because like I said, I got the other ones in 44 and they do fit, but technically I should have got a 45 or a 46. I don't know if 45 was available, probably not. And again, this material being complete junk that most companies have steered away from. And I actually had worse material than this, the purple stuff I showed in one of the videos where you could really see through it. This one you can't see through it as well, it's just the dye job is bad. And so that brings us back, of course, to UT kilts, where we have more of a fabric lining, a little bit thicker, better straps, but not much because he went cheap on the straps. They used to be better. There's a placket, a bigger placket here for the fringe. Whether or not you need that, I don't know. A top band. I didn't go through every single detail of every single kilt because I've done budget kilt videos already, and I've covered most of these brands. So I'm kind of rushing through this part because we're already at almost 20 minutes to talk about $30 kilts. Like, so again, but again, this kilt costs over $100 now. So you've jumped up from $40 to $100, and you're still getting in the not premium version though. $21 pleats. Some only 7 more pleats, but again, in terms of looks, you're getting a lot more consistent garment. The front apron, the stripes will almost never be in the right place, but the top band, as you can see, matches more or less as well as they could do it. There's an awkward gap here. Again, that's on your front apron where you don't really like awkward gaps, and you can see you start to get a bunch of them off to the side where the buckle's going to be. But by then you've wrapped, around, and so you're really seeing 2 of them pretty bad. You have your belt or a vest to maybe camouflage that slightly, but you're still getting a Pakistani garment. You know, you're still going to have issues like that. But again, that's $100, not $400. So, you know, if you're not ready to make that jump to real wool, that's what you're dealing with. So I didn't finish the rankings, like I said. I put UT Kilts at the top. I left a spot where there's another kilt that I ordered in the polyester that was going to come tomorrow, but after getting these ones and sizing, I had to reorder it. I assume that'll come in at the number 2 spot, and then Scottish Trading Company will come in 3rd. And then I put Kilt Emporium above Tartanista, just because, again, I don't know if Tartanista has improved their fabric, although the Kilt Emporium fabric still being pretty disappointing, kind of that coarse, rough, yucky feeling, and the Allsafe fabric being a little softer and a little nicer. I could maybe see where some people would like that better than Tartanista or even Kilt Emporium, but because of the fit issue, which I never had with Tartanista, they were very close to accurate, and they had a decent amount of pleats. Again, I don't have one of their kilts here anymore, but they definitely had enough pleats. This thing having almost no pleats, having a weird placket, having a whatever other issues the zigzaggy top band, which again, I mean, one little stripe a little off, it will affect an OCD person, but it won't ruin your wear of the kilt. This thing, I mean, why didn't they just use a solid color top band at that point? That's just ridiculous. And then American Highlander, I put way down here. Again, they may have changed their fabric. They may have changed things. They might be better than Tartanista now, for all I know, if they're still in business. I don't know. But because of their cost, not worth it for the money at all, because I can get the same garment for $100 less from any of these other 3 or 4 almost. And then AAR I put at the bottom, even though I've never owned any of their kilts, just based on that bit of fabric that I bought to match somebody else's kilt and didn't match at all, and it's just crap fabric, and I just have it because I haven't made it into a pillowcase cover or whatever. So on Thursday or Friday or next weekend or whenever, I will finish updating this list for anybody who's confused about where these other 2 things might go, or if I change my mind about one of the other ones. If somebody from American Highlander sees this and sends me a free kilt to show me how much they've improved, then okay, sure. But when I had complained about, I had bought 2 kilts from them or something, and they basically offered to sell me a nicer one. It's like, no, I'm not giving you any more money. I already overpaid for 2 kilts because I didn't know what quality to look for at the time. If you want to send me a good kilt for free, because I already spent way too much on these 2 $30 pieces of crap, that's up to you. So yeah, I'm definitely, instead of Allsafe, I don't know why they're called that, I'm calling them all crap also. And they are, like I said, they are literally only beating out American Highlander because of the slight fabric improvement. And this was $40, not 110 or 20 or whatever it was 6 years ago. Like I said, they might not even be in business anymore because I haven't looked since, the pandemic or whatever. Okay, so that was my kilt rant for a Saturday afternoon, and hope that helps anybody who's curious what's going on with Amazon kilt products. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you just put a statement, maybe I'll reply, maybe I won't, depending on if it seems necessary.